In Chapter 5, we depart Newport, Rhode Island and sail west on Block Island Sound to West Harbor on Fisher's Island, New York to anchor overnight. On the following day, we start out up Long Island Sound in blustery conditions and sail 60 miles to Port Jefferson on Long Island. From Port Jefferson, we sail 45 miles to Port Washington on Manhasset Bay. Departing Port Washington early, we enter the East River at Throgs Neck and pass through Flushing, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Manhattan to the Hudson River, where we turn north and sail up to take a mooring at the 79th Street Boat Basin on Manhattan's Upper West Side.
Just passing Watch Hill, Rhode Island. We're almost to the Connecticut border.
Fisher's Island proved to be a good overnight stop and put us in good position for the following day's sail up Long Island Sound. We'd really wanted to sail to Block Island and spend a day or two in Great Salt Pond, but it would have placed us too far east for an easy run up the Sound. And with time running short, we had to defer that visit for another year. With a favorable forecast for south winds, we departed Fisher's Island only to find the wind veering southwest, making it an almost dead upwind sail. As well, there was a significant tide of about 2 knots against us all morning. Conditions moderated in the afternoon, and by the time we reached Port Jefferson on Long Island Sound, late in the day, there was no wind at all. The day's cool start was replaced by temperatures in the mid-90s, and we swam off the boat before evening fell, the boys at the harbor entrance blinking goodnight.
Program support for Morning Edition comes from listeners like you. Thank you.
So we're just heading into Port Washington. We're just a few miles from Throgs Neck and the entrance of the East River, where we'll head up to Manhattan tomorrow.
Upon leaving Port Jefferson, we motor sailed west most of the day, with the wind too light to sail. When nearing Port Washington, the V-belt on our Yanmar diesel broke, and as I struggled to replace it, while draped over the 80 degrees Celsius engine, a tremendous black cloud towered up from behind. We were hit by a terrific thunderstorm that saw the wind gust 30 to 35 knots.
You all set?
As quick as it came, it was gone, and we found the waterfront dock of Louis in Manhasset Bay. A perfect stop for the night, complete with dinner and an excellent local jazz band in their dockside restaurant. Under clear skies and calm conditions, we departed Port Washington at 6:45. Entering the East River, timing is critical in order to catch a favorable tide. The current can be more than 5 knots at Hell Gate off of Manhattan's Upper East Side. We entered the river passing under the imposing and oddly named Throgs Neck Bridge that joins the Bronx to starboard with Queens to port. It apparently gets its name from an English Quaker, Reverend John Throck or Throgmorton, who settled in this area in about 1640. The sail down the river is enthralling. The city just keeps expanding. Apartments in the Bronx, waterfront homes of Flushing, LaGuardia Airport, a ruined bridge, a sunken freighter. The East River's upper reaches were initially not busy, and we passed through Hell Gate making about 10 knots over the ground, about a 3.5 knot boost in boat speed from our usual 6.5 knots. At this point, we'd encountered only a small amount of waterborne traffic, of perhaps a half dozen tugs with barges.
Mr. T. So we're just coming up to LaGuardia and Rikers Island, and around the corner is the Bronx River. It's passing 6. So this is North Brother Island. What time is it, Jay?
8:30.
8:30. The traffic's moving pretty good though.
Yep.
Such a big city.
Beer bottle.
So we're just passing under the Queensboro Bridge. There's a cable car too. Once under the Queensboro Bridge and nearing the UN building at Midtown East, things get much busier. Rush hour traffic on shore, helicopters overhead, cross-river ferries, pilot vessels and tugs, all jockey for position as they enter the river from every angle. We seemed to be the only pleasure craft sailing the East River that day, and it was a little intimidating. We began to wonder if we were there during a commercial traffic only period. Once under the Brooklyn Bridge, the last of 8 East River bridges we had to pass under, it was only a short distance to Battery Park at the tip of Manhattan that marks the junction of the East with the Hudson River. From here we turned and motored north, now against the outflowing tide, upriver to the 79th Street Boat Basin, about 8 miles, from where we planned to spend a couple of days exploring the city. Okay, he's going to go in front of you, I think. Well, that was pretty spectacular. So that's Battery Park then, where the trees are. Let's grab that close one. 79th Street Boat Basin is ideally located on the Upper West Side, only a few blocks from Broadway and Central Park. Once safely tethered to a yellow mooring ball, we inflated our dinghy and went ashore to check in, and walked up 79th Street to Broadway in search of somewhere to stop for lunch. Continuing on to Central Park, we ran out of energy at the Turtle Pond and turned and walked back towards the river, cooled by a light rain from the 90-degree summer heat. That light rain turned into a rainstorm that saw us completely drenched by the time we were back aboard Fantasia. So there we have it. We've snagged the yellow mooring ball at 79th Street Boat Basin. But it's a beautiful spot. Wow, there's a nice walk along the bank here.
This one here's got quite a beautiful shell.
Isn't that neat? Central Park turtles.
I did it, turtles.
Isn't that funny? I've never seen so many turtles.
Oh, the baby. He's going along.
We had budgeted only one full day to spend in Manhattan. The next morning, we were busy shopping and carrying provisions back to the dinghy, as well as doing laundry and other boat chores. We spent that afternoon walking in Central Park, visiting the Metropolitan Museum of Fine Art, and then jumped in a taxi and raced down to Greenwich Village for dinner and an evening of jazz at the famous Blue Note. As the lights of Weehawken on the Jersey side of the Hudson River blinked, we planned another early start. Tomorrow we would begin the 300-mile upriver journey that would end with us back in Lake Ontario.